Have you ever felt an unshakable feeling that something was wrong in your relationship and later on you turned out to be right? That's your intuition speaking, and it is more scientific than you think. In this video, I'm going to show you how intuition works, why it is so powerful, and how you can use it to make better decisions for your love life. One of my clients, Sarah, was attending a social event and her intuition told her to stay put in one place and not move around. Within a few minutes, someone approached her and asked her out for a date. That's how powerful intuition can be. Hello everybody, I am Vaishali Khade. I'm an engineer turned psychic with over 9,000 readings, and I show you how you can leverage the power of stars for your love life. In this video, I'm going to share the hidden science behind intuition and how it actually works in romantic relationships. So here's what you're going to learn: the origin of intuition, how human beings exist, why the language of intuition is different, what intuition really is, and how it can work in real life. Your goal is to regularly tap into your intuition to be able to connect with the subtle messages it is sending you. All right, so let's get started. The first one is the origin of intuition. So rather than giving you a general definition of intuition or my version of it, I decided to Google it and share with you what exactly intuition is and how the definition of intuition has evolved over time. All right, so if I look at the definition of intuition, this is what it is showing us, the origin. The origin, it started in Latin with the word intuere, which means to consider or consider. And then it went on to late Latin, where it turned out to intutio. Sorry, my Latin is not that great. But in English, it is intuit. So that's what happened from where it first started. And later on, it evolved to intuition. Now, look at the definition over here where it says denoting spiritual insight or immediate spiritual communication. And we are going to kind of decode each and every word of what it is trying to say, and I'll show you why it is trying to say what it is trying to say. So it's either spiritual insight or immediate spiritual communication. All right, so now that you understand how intuition or the word has evolved over time, we are going to go and look at what exactly the spiritual communication is and how that communication happens and how it is going to affect or impact you in terms of tapping into your own intuition. When was the last time you had a gut feeling that actually turned out to be right? Go ahead and put that in the comments and share your story with everybody else who is also watching this video. All right, so now let's get into how human beings exist. So the word human being is composed of two words. The first part is human, and then the second part is being. And then the human part is the body part, which is our physical body. So we all have a physical body for this particular lifetime. So the word human part, it refers to our physical body. And then the being part, it refers to our being. The being in this case is referring to as the spirit. So in this particular scenario, when we put the body and the being together, or the body and the spirit together, what happens is we have what is known as a human being, which is ourselves. So as far as the body is concerned, this body has limitations in the sense that our body is only existing for this particular lifetime. After this lifetime is over, our body will no longer exist. Whereas as far as the spirit is concerned or the being is concerned, the spirit does not have that limitation. The spirit is immortal, so to say. So I have also covered this in another video, and I'm going to link that video over here about the sensors for the human body in terms of the human sensors versus the being sensors, where I explain about the sixth sense and how it works, and I'm going to link that video over here. So now let's come to the definition of intuition, which is denoting spiritual insight or immediate spiritual communication. So now when it's talking about spiritual communication, so this is the spiritual communication, which is the spirit, and that is referring to this being part, which means that it is referring to the communication of or from our spirit. Or that's like one small section of the definition of how intuition actually works. As far as the communication is concerned, it is referring to the communication from the being part of us. Okay, so that's as far as the human being is concerned. So there is one other subtle difference as far as the human and the being part is concerned, which is the concept of time and space. This is not so easy to understand, so I'm just going to kind of summarize it in one sentence, and maybe I'll make a separate video and explain it at some other time. But essentially, as far as the spirit is concerned, there is no time and no space. And as far as the human beings are concerned, we live in a world where everything is defined by time and space. What city do you live in? That's the space. What is the time? Whatever the time is right now. So as far as the human part of us is concerned, everything is kind of related or talked about in terms of time and space. But the same thing does not happen as far as the spirit world is concerned or the spiritual plane is concerned. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button so that YouTube can share it with more people like you. All right, so now we come to why the language of intuition is different. So I'm going to go back to the drawing. Okay, so why the language of intuition is different. So remember, as human beings, right now, so long as for this particular lifetime, both the human and the being part is coexisting. As far as this lifetime is concerned, we have this particular body, I have this particular body, you have your body, and then I also have the spirit part or the being part of it. So now let's say that I want to communicate with you, and in order for me to communicate with you, I am using a language. And in this particular instance, I'm using English. And if you understand English, then most likely you are going to listen to this video in English. If for some reason English is not the language you understand, then you can use a translator. And what the translator will do is it will take the English version of it and then it will add some subtitles, or essentially it will translate it. Let's say you want to do French. So it's going to take English and then it's going to translate it to French, and then you can see everything I'm saying in French, and that way you can understand whatever it is that I am saying. So even though you do not understand English directly, you still get the essence of what I'm saying by looking at, let's say, my body language and also looking at the subtitles. So what does this have to do with intuition? All right, so let's get to how this actually works in terms of intuition. So in terms of intuition, we are looking at the communication. Remember, I explained to you the communication of how, if you didn't understand English and you understood French, how you're going to kind of listen or understand what this video contains. Now, as far as the human part of us is concerned, we speak or we converse in a language. So maybe you converse in English, maybe you converse in French, maybe you converse in Italian, or whatever language is your primary language. However, as far as the being is concerned, the communication from the being is going to be different. So the being does not have the same language that humans have. So essentially the being is nothing but spirit, and essentially it is all energy. So, as far as the being is concerned, the language is that of energy. And essentially, if we can tap into this energy, then we can understand the language. And that is what this definition is referring to as the spiritual communication, which means the communication is coming from the spirit or the being, and the form or mode of communication is via the language of the spirit, which is energy. And how exactly are you going to tap into the energy? I'm going to get to that in 1 second, or maybe more than 1 second. But essentially, that is what this is referring to, that you are tapping into the language of the being and you are trying to understand what the being is trying to tell you. So if I have to summarize it on a human plane, or at a human level, we use a language for communication, whereas at a spirit level or energy level or being level, the language of communication is that of energy, or the spirit communicates through energy, or you can receive the information via energy. So that brings us to the next point, which is what exactly is intuition? We already looked at the definition and it said it's a form of spiritual communication, and I broke down what exactly it means or what exactly spiritual communication is. So essentially what intuition is connecting with the language of the spirit. And if you can connect, or when you can connect to the language of the spirit, then you can get information from it which would otherwise be not available to you at a physical level or at a body level. Because remember, I mentioned in the beginning that the spirit does not have the concept of time or space. And this is the reason why you can get all the information in the form of energy. And if you can tap into that energy, then you can understand the essence of what the spirit is trying to tell you. And that's what intuition is. Some people may just refer to it as a gut feeling, which is essentially they get a feeling that, oh, this is not right, or that is not right. Oh, I should go and take the train today, or oh, I should not drive today. That kind of a thing. So that some people may refer to it as a gut feeling. Some people may say, oh, I was just driving and then suddenly I heard this voice, which is a form of it's clairaudience, which is I heard this voice and the voice told me to kind of go a little bit more to the right, and then there was a car which just came and sped by. So that is your intuition talking to you, but essentially it's spiritual communication or energetic communication, which is trying to tell you to, in this case, it would be more of a warning, that it is trying to alert you that if you don't go a little bit to the right, then you may bump into this car, or this car may bump into you. That sort of a thing. So if you would like to learn more about how to tap into your intuition, then I have a free guide, and the link is in the comments below, and you can sign up and get this guide to tap into your own intuition. So now that you understand the basics of intuition, how exactly does it work in real life? So essentially, I mentioned to you before that the communication through intuition is more of an impulse. It is more of a flash of insight or a climax of what is going to happen or what is about to happen before the event actually takes place. You can think of it as a warning sign, or you can think of it as an insight that you get from the universe, which is trying to tell you what is about to happen. So one way to access the intuition is by accident, which means that let's say that you're driving and suddenly you hear this voice saying that, hey, listen, just move over a little bit to the right, and then otherwise you're going to have an accident. So that could be one way. Another way is to access your intuition intentionally. So if you want to intentionally access your intuition, there are various ways you can do it, and meditation is one of them. And I have a video, and incidentally, it also involves a car and a person driving on a freeway, but it's not about going to the right. So that video covers about how you can intentionally access your intuition. And in this particular video, I cover the sense of clairvoyance, where she accesses her clairvoyance and almost avoids, let's say, disaster. And if you'd like to watch that video, I'm going to link that below in the comments, so you can go ahead and watch that video of how accessing your intuition can actually help you, instead of waiting for the last minute, as in when you're driving and you hear a voice that, hey, listen, go to the right. If you had done it intentionally, say you had meditated in the morning or the night before, you probably would have seen that message a little bit ahead in terms of timing, which means that you would have known that you have to be careful when you go and drive on the street that day. So how does intuition actually work when things are not going well? So before a breakup happens, intuition already knows that the breakup is about to happen. So it is going to come and warn you, and it is going to tell you that, hey, listen, there is something. There's something going on here, and a breakup is about to happen. So you have to be prepared for that scenario. It will also show you what kind of signs you need to be watching out for. So as far as romantic relationships are concerned, I showed you an example of how this lady was at a social event and she was just standing there, or she was about to start mingling with other people, and she heard this voice which said that, hey, listen, just stay put and don't move, and something is going to happen or is about to happen. And then she met this particular guy. So that is how intuition works before you are about to meet someone. Now, it can also warn you if the person you're going to meet is, let's say, not going to be a good person or nice person, or things are not going to go well with that person. Intuition can also warn you about that. And it can also warn you before a breakup is about to happen, especially if the breakup is a little bit unexpected. So how exactly does intuition come and play a role in letting you know that a breakup is about to happen? That is the subject of my next video, and I'll see you in my next video.